Imagine waking up every morning with complete control over your finances, knowing exactly where your money is going, saving for the future, and never feeling the stress of paycheck to paycheck living. It sounds like a dream, right? But for one person, it was the complete opposite. Meet Sarah. She was juggling bills, paying down debt, and never seemed to have enough money left over for the things she loved. But all of that changed when she discovered a simple yet life-changing strategy: budgeting. And trust me, it wasn't easy for her at first. She struggled to keep track of her expenses, felt guilty about spending, and was overwhelmed by debt. But by following a few key steps, Sarah went from drowning in bills to feeling financially free. And today, I'm sharing her journey with you, step by step. By the end of this video, you'll not only know how to set up a budget like a pro, but you'll also learn the exact strategies that Sarah used to go from broke to thriving. Let's start with where it all began for Sarah. She knew something was wrong when she couldn't figure out how her salary seemed to disappear every month. She dreaded checking her bank account, worried about unexpected expenses, and hated the idea of budgeting because it felt restrictive. Sound familiar? Sarah's wake-up call came when she hit overdraft fees for the third time in a single month. That was the breaking point. She knew she had to make a change, and the first step was facing her finances head-on. What about you? When was the last time you really sat down and looked at your spending habits? If you haven't done it recently, I encourage you to stick around because the next few steps are going to help you get clarity and control over your money, just like it did for Sarah. The first thing Sarah did was write down every expense: rent, groceries, Netflix, eating out, gas, everything. She felt the pinch at first, but here's the truth: you can't manage what you don't measure. Once she saw her spending patterns laid out in front of her, it was a wake-up call, but it was also the first step toward creating a real solution. Sarah didn't know where to start, so she looked for a simple structure. That's when she found the 50-30-20 rule, a beginner-friendly method that changed her relationship with money. Here's how it works. 50% of your income goes to needs: rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, and other essential expenses. 30% goes to wants: dining out, entertainment, shopping, and other non-essentials. 20% goes to savings or paying off debt. At first, Sarah felt overwhelmed by the idea of cutting back on her wants. But here's the magic. The 50-30-20 rule isn't about restricting yourself. It's about giving yourself permission to spend in a way that balances both financial security and enjoyment. Let me ask you this: do you know what percentage of your income goes to your needs, wants, and savings? If not, grab a pen and paper or use a budgeting app, because we're about to break down how you can do this in your own life. Once Sarah plugged her numbers into this framework, she immediately saw where her problem areas were. She had been spending 40% of her income on wants and only 5% on savings. It was no wonder she was constantly stressed about money. But by using the 50-30-20 rule, she began to realign her spending. One of the hardest parts for Sarah was facing the reality that she needed to cut back on her non-essential spending. She had to give up some of her favorite things, like weekly takeout and online shopping sprees, but she also learned that cutting back doesn't mean giving up everything. Sarah started small. She committed to cooking at home 3 times a week, canceled subscriptions she wasn't using, and set a monthly limit for dining out. At first, it felt tough, but over time, she realized how much freedom she was gaining from saying no to unnecessary expenses. The best part? She didn't feel deprived. She was still able to treat herself, but she did it strategically. Here's a question for you. What's one thing you could cut back on without feeling deprived? Maybe it's that coffee run, a subscription you forgot about, or eating out less. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas on how you can start cutting the financial fat. Once Sarah had her spending under control, it was time to focus on building up her savings. She had never saved consistently before, so the thought of putting money aside felt like a burden. But she discovered one of the biggest game changers: automating her savings. Sarah set up an automatic transfer that moved 20% of her paycheck directly into her savings account the minute she got paid. She didn't have to think about it, and that's exactly what made it so effective. By automating her savings, she took herself out of the equation, which meant no more forgetting to save or spending that money on something else. Within a few months, Sarah's savings had grown faster than she ever thought possible, and it gave her a sense of security she had never felt before. What about you? Do you have your savings automated? If not, this could be the simplest yet most effective step you take to start building your financial safety net today. Let me know in the comments if you plan to automate your savings. One of Sarah's biggest financial stressors was her credit card debt. Every month she made the minimum payment, but it felt like the balance never went down. That's when she learned about the Debt Snowball Method, a strategy that helped her crush her debt faster than she ever imagined. Here's how it works. List all your debts from smallest to largest. Focus on paying off the smallest debt first, while making minimum payments on the others. Once the smallest debt is paid off, roll that payment into the next debt and keep going until all debts are cleared. By focusing on small wins, Sarah stayed motivated, and soon enough, the balances started disappearing. One by one, she knocked out her debts, and that feeling of freedom grew with every balance she paid off. Finally, Sarah learned the power of living below her means. This doesn't mean living like a monk or depriving yourself of everything you love. Instead, it means choosing to live with less so you can focus on what truly matters. For Sarah, that meant embracing minimalism, simplifying her life, decluttering her home, and focusing on experiences rather than things. By living with less, she found that she actually enjoyed life more. Less stuff meant less stress. Less spending meant more freedom. And that's the ultimate goal of budgeting. It's not about restriction, it's about freedom. The freedom to live life on your terms. Sarah's story shows us that budgeting isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about taking control of your life, making small changes, and setting yourself up for long-term success. From facing her finances to embracing minimalism, Sarah turned her financial struggles into a success story, and you can do the same. Remember, budgeting is a tool for freedom, not restriction. So, if you're ready to take control of your money, start small, stay consistent, and watch how your life transforms. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more budgeting and financial success tips. And drop a comment below. What's your biggest budgeting challenge, and what steps are you taking to overcome it?